Hello everybody, welcome to Also Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel if you are not already and drop a like on this video. Also real quick, I do have to do a few promotion things here. If you didn't already, check it out already. I did a video on the Lakers versus Suns game 1. That was a very good game, so go check my reaction to that. It was uploaded like 5 hours ago. Also, I did a video on the main channel about the Knicks versus Hawks series, which we're going to be talking about game 1 here. I shouldn't have uploaded that video at the time that I did, but like it ended up having to go up when it did because the game was about to start. I uploaded it right as I uploaded the Lakers Suns reaction, and people were way more interested in that video, and I uploaded it like the exact same time, so the video got a terrible click-through rate at the start, which tanked the video. So if you haven't watched it already, I'd really appreciate it if you did watch that video, because a lot of the points I'm going to talk about in this video when talking about this Hawks versus Knicks game 1 were things that I mentioned in that video as things that I expected to see. This was actually a pretty predictable situation. Like a lot of what I expected to happen did happen in this game 1, and I'm going to focus mainly on this game. However, I do want to quickly talk about Grizzlies versus Jazz right out of the gate, because this was the less interesting of the two games, and I actually failed to take notes in this one because at this point in the day, this game started at 10:30. You're pretty tired. It might have been 10. Like I'm pretty tired, and you know, at a certain point, like watching multiple games, like as much as I love basketball, it does get tiring. Wouldn't stop it for the world, but a little, you know, eyes start drooping a little bit. I was very happy this game did not go into overtime because it seemed like it would. So this was a close game, and it was actually the Memphis Grizzlies that ended up pulling out on top. Now, it is worth mentioning for the sake of the Utah Jazz that Donovan Mitchell was not playing in this game, and he will likely make his game 2 debut. There was a report that was like Donovan Mitchell wanted to play in this game, but like the medical staff or something like that wouldn't let him. So I presume if it's that close, he'll play game 2. And in this game, it was certainly interesting. So I gotta wonder, the title of this video is probably going to be something sarcastic, like Dylan Brooks is the greatest player of all time or something, but like actually genuinely he might be, not actually genuinely, but like seriously, he was so fucking good in this game. And like the last couple of games, he's gotten credit for his offense, for his defense. This game, it was his offense. Not to say he wasn't doing stuff defensively, but really what stood out was he was just creating off of the dribble so much, mid-range pull-ups, getting to the basket with ease. He had a really nice crossover at one point to get to the basket. High arcing off the glass type shit. Other than that, on the Grizzlies side of things, Ja Morant had yet another great game, and honestly, a lot of people are like, oh, how do you feel about the Ja Morant is overrated video? The thing is, Ja, like, nothing he's doing is surprising me. I knew Ja was capable of what he's doing right now. I just thought that a lot of people were acting like what he is right now is what he was back then, and he's been just different lately. And I think like towards the end of the season, he was having a really good streak as well. I can't remember the specifics of that, but Ja Morant, yeah, he's just been a lot better than he was when I made that video. That's for damn sure. Not so much overrated now, just because really most people are just properly appreciating him for what he is right now rather than overstating it. Anyways, outside of that, a very good game from Valanciunas. He was going right at Rudy Gobert, kind of bullying Rudy Gobert at times, honestly, which is not the best thing for him. For Rudy, that is. Desmond Bane hit an end of quarter 3 buzzer beater. That was nice to see with a long 3-pointer. And that's about it. Oh, also, I almost forgot to mention him. Kyle Anderson, 6 steals in this game, had a great defensive presence. There was some weird coldness to him. There was one steal he got specifically on Jordan Clarkson where he just got it and he just stood there as jump and like in like a fuck, what were you trying to do against me type thing. Speaking of that, on the Jazz side of things, Jordan Clarkson did not play good in this game. 5 for 16, 0 for 8 from outside, and offensively this was a little bit of a struggle. Really, it was only saved by Bojan Bogdanovic, who had an amazing fourth quarter. He finished with 29 points. Mike Conley had 22 and 11. However, he also shot 33% from the field. Like I said, Clarkson played terribly. And really, he's had a lot of like 20-shot games where he makes like 5 or 6 field goals, and that's just not good. Don't do that. And that's kind of what happens when this team doesn't have Donovan Mitchell, is the shots go from Donovan Mitchell and they go to Jordan Clarkson, and there's a significant drop-off there. Yeah, but Bogdanovic ended up being the guy taking the late game shots, and he was hitting a lot of big shots. Credit to him for that. But it was not enough to give them the win. What was interesting is that late game, Kyle Anderson fouled Bogdanovic to send him to the line when they were up, when the Grizzlies were up 3. So they played the I'd rather you make 2 free throws and make a 3-pointer game. And then on the inbound play, when the Jazz were supposed to defend it and foul immediately or potentially cause a turnover, instead, Dillon Brooks got a cut to the basket, layup. That was pretty much game. So, or actually, after that, then Bogdanovic got a 3-point attempt that was very well contested by Dillon Brooks, and that was game. So, yeah, this was really just the Jazz could not create offense without Donovan Mitchell at the rate you would like it to go. They shot overall 25% from 3 on 47 attempts, being that this is one of the best 3-point shooting teams in the league. That's not good. And really, just this game proved to me the value of Donovan Mitchell. Like, nothing to take away from the Grizzlies, but Donovan Mitchell plays this game, they win. And assuming he plays the rest of the series, they should win. I wouldn't be surprised if the Grizzlies got another game on the Jazz, but for the most part, if Donovan Mitchell is back, and Donovan Mitchell is back like healthy, not like struggling, then they should still be fine in this series. But also, I do have to mention Rudy Gobert fouled out of this one, had a lot of questionable plays. He did have a stretch where he was having some really good rim protection, but we've heard all the stuff about Rudy Gobert as a playoff performer before. This one wasn't so much getting like exposed in the pick and roll or anything like that, or getting dragged out and having to defend an isolation from a guard. Really, just like what he's good at, he wasn't even doing that amazing for stretches of this game. Part of the reason why he fouled out. Also, there was a weird thing where someone was shooting free throws and Rudy was sitting like right under the basket and Kyle Anderson touched him, and then he acted like he got pushed over. You're out of the game, dog. Why are you sitting under the basket? That was just weird. And yeah, he got shoved. He didn't get shoved. Kyle Anderson just like touched him and he acted like he got shoved. It was very stupid. Rudy Gobert is a weird fucking guy. So that was just it was kind of cringe. But then if I can talk about Knicks versus Hawks, because this was probably this is the best game of the day. I don't know why I said probably. This is the best game of the day, and this was in the Garden, and holy shit, is it nice to have a game like this in a fucking NBA arena that's packed. The fucking Garden is one of the best arenas, and it's been a long time since we have heard this arena in playoff basketball. A very long time. This is the first time that I have live reacted to playoff Knicks, because the last time the Knicks were in the playoffs was my first season watching NBA basketball when I was 12. And the Bulls were the only team that I was really watching that in the NBA Finals. I didn't see the Knicks where Rudy Gobert stuffed Carmelo Anthony. I wasn't there for that. I think that might have been 2014. I don't fucking know. Anyways, yeah, so the Knicks atmosphere, unbelievable. And because of that, this whole game just had a great vibe to it. Speaking of the Knicks atmosphere and the arena, they started off this game, Knicks fans, by chanting "fuck Trae Young." Like 2 minutes into the game clock, chanting "fuck Trae Young." Interesting approach. I mean, we saw this with the Denver-Portland game. I didn't mention it in covering that game, but they were chanting. They weren't chanting anything. They were booing Melo every time he touched the ball, and Melo had a fantastic game. The Knicks say, "Fuck you, Trae Young." Trae Young finishes with 32, 7, and 10. And the game winner. And after the game winner, Trae Young says, "It's quiet as fucking here now," or something along those lines. So that was cold as fuck. Like, I'm not gonna lie. Trae Young is really corny to me very often. I like Trae Young for the most part, and I think he's very good, and I get annoyed when people act like with people who don't like him and turn that into thinking he's not good just because they don't like him, usually because of the foul baiting. But for whatever reason, like, don't let your dislike of a player or dislike of watching a player determine how good you actually think they are, because they're two fucking things, two separate things. There's the biased, I don't like this guy, and actually how good this player is. Like, those are two conversations. Like, I don't like Myers Leonard, and I also know that he fucking sucks at basketball. But, you know, if Myers Leonard was really good, then he'd still be really good, but also fuck Myers Leonard still regardless. Weird example, but the point is, like, not liking somebody and then them just not being good are or how good you actually think they are two different things. Like, people have made that same mistake with James Harden. They don't like James Harden's play style, so they go, well, fuck James Harden. He's actually not a top 10 player because I don't like watching him hook somebody's arm. Like, I don't like it either, but that doesn't mean James Harden's not a really good player and not MVP when he won MVP, things like that. So yeah, that's a bad thing that happens with Trae Young, and he was amazing in this game. Game winner, 32 points. It is worth mentioning one of the big shots that he hit, or not big shots, big kind of bullshit thing, and I complained about it when it happened. There was a play like a minute and a half in the game. It was a kind of fast break situation, but most of the players were back, but like the defense nor the offense was really set. But Trae Young has RJ on him, and then he, to me, initiates the contact and then shoots a short mid-range shot, and they call a foul on it. And he like flopped around as he's one to do. And here's the thing, as I've said before, I don't like foul baiting, but I do like, I don't like foul baiting, but I don't let that make me dislike a person. I don't dislike Trae Young because of foul baiting. I don't unenjoy every element of his game just because foul baiting. Disliking a human being because of a basketball thing is pretty fucking dumb. Unless it's a basketball thing that speaks to someone's character, like Kelly Olynyk ripping out Kevin Love's shoulder. That's why I don't like Kelly Olynyk. This was... my mind just went blank. What the fuck was I talking about? Kelly Olynyk, shoulder, basketball, don't like Trae Young. Oh, yeah. Trae Young foul bait. So yeah, to me, Trae initiated that contact. They call it. This was, everyone on Twitter was yelling about it. I tweeted about it and had to immediately delete it because there was 50 different Hawks fans yelling at me, calling me a hater. I have to clarify this. I do not dislike players for foul baiting. I dislike foul baiting. I dislike that the NBA rewards what Trae Young does. I completely understand why Trae does what he does. If I was an NBA player and I knew how to take advantage of it, I had the skill, which it is, of drawing fouls, I would do it. Because whatever advantage you can get that the game will allow, do it. Fucking Chris Paul reporting on that guy for not having his jersey tucked in, and then that results in the Thunder winning a game. To me, that shit is fucking awesome. Like getting that little edge in such an annoying fucking way. To me, I'm like, yeah, that's a good competitive thing to do. Like, I understand why you do that. But fouling and that shit in particular, or getting fouls, just foul baiting, you know what I'm talking about. It is not an aesthetically pleasing element of the game. I've gone on a completely different rant separate from this game, but it's not aesthetically pleasing. It takes me out of the enjoyment of the experience. And for that reason, I complain about it when it happens, but I don't dislike Trae Young as a result. In fact, I have campaigned for quite a while that Trae Young is rather underrated. I still think he can be a superstar caliber player in this league. Anyways, off of that long fucking tangent, I also feel a need to mention that when I mentioned Myers Leonard, that's literally just like the first player I could think of that I hate in the NBA, because I don't hate players pretty much ever. I was not comparing Trae Young to Myers Leonard. I'm just talking about disliking someone. Anyways, other than that, for the Hawks, I mean, I mentioned in my Hawks-Knicks prediction video that really, if you defend Trae properly, you pretty much defend the Hawks properly. And they didn't do the best job. Now, it's worth mentioning, the Hawks only had 3 free throws up until, like, the 8-minute mark of the third quarter. Trae ended up finishing with 9 free throws, but overall, the Hawks could have done worse defending him. They could have, or the Knicks could have done better defending him. They could have done worse. The foul baiting was not nearly as severe in this game as it has been in many moments, and the 9 free throws is not as bad as I would have expected. And the fact that it took so long for it to get to that point, there was a little bit of like I said, I was afraid of with that Knicks-Hawks video, was like backing up in the pick and roll and giving Trae floaters. I mean, the drop coverage on him, you saw exactly what the game winner was. He also had a couple of more plays like that in this game. Short floater. I don't remember who it was, but somebody was backing up out of the paint, he has a clean look, and he has a mean floater. You can't give Trae that, and that's exactly how he won the game. Excuse me. Outside of that, another thing to mention on the Hawks side of things, Danilo Gallinari was fucking pitiful in this game. He showed up with a mohawk like he's 13. So that was already not a great sign. But then offensively, he's taking bad shots. Like he took multiple pull-up shots with the man on him, and it's like, bro, you should not be taking that shot in this situation. And then he got multiple instances where the Knicks tried to target him. Emmanuel quickly found him on a switch a few times and targeted that. It was not pretty. Speaking of targeting, I was actually surprised to see that the Knicks did not target Trae Young very much at all. I didn't actually mention in that video, but that's something I would definitely try and do. There was one instance where RJ was on Trae in the post, but it didn't seem like a targeting situation. It just kind of happened, and he took good advantage of it. But for the most part, there was not as much taking advantage of that as I would have liked. Also, another thing worth mentioning, there's a lot of stuff worth mentioning. This was a great game. Alec Burks, 27 points off of the bench on 9 for 13 shooting. He did miss like the biggest shot of the game for the Knicks, but I guess the biggest miss of the game because Derrick Rose had a floater that was probably the biggest shot of the game for them. But other than that, he's still like fucking getting 27 points out of Alec Burks in a playoff game. Like Alec Burks is pretty solid, but I was not expecting him to be the Knicks' best player in a playoff game, and that's exactly what happened. Derrick Rose also played phenomenal off of the bench. Julius Randle sucked like terribly in this one. He tried a game-winning three that ended up being offensive rebounded, and that's when Derrick Rose hit the floater. But it was like didn't even get close to hitting the rim. It hit the backboard hard, like off by like 6 inches from hitting the rim. It was ugly. Yeah, he goes 6 for 23 from the field, 2 for 6 from 3. RJ 1 for 6 from 3. Reggie Bullock was 0 for 5 from 3. That's not typical. I said this in the video on the Hawks versus Knicks, and again, go watch that video if you have not already for more stuff about the future of the series, but I was afraid that both of these guys, both Randall and RJ, would struggle from 3, because like I don't trust their 3-point percentage to indicate how actually good of a shooter as these guys are, and they go 3 for 12 overall for the game. So yeah, I had good reason to be hesitant in that. Other than that, I also have to mention there were Emmanuel quickly hit some big threes. Like he only had 10 points, but I swear to God, all of those 10 points felt massive. He hit one really deep three that got the entire arena to erupt, and that was amazing. Also, five points in 12 minutes for Obi Toppin. Hit a three-pointer, got a really nice dunk. Not the best defensively, as Obi Toppin isn't. But it was interesting to see that he got minutes, and I don't know that that's going to continue. One thing I said was I didn't expect Elfrid Payton to play any more than maximum 20 minutes, and he didn't even get 10. So I got to commend Tibbs for that he at least recognizes that Elfrid Payton is not good and that he should not play that much. And as a result, Elfrid played 8 minutes in this one, and pretty much all the guard minutes went to Derrick Rose and Emmanuel quickly, which is just phenomenal. RJ Barrett was fine in this one. He could have shot better, but he played pretty well defensively. But as for the Knicks and like their hopes of winning this series, I think overall it was more offense than defense. Like holding the Hawks to 107, that's not bad. Like there were only a few instances where the Knicks just did like egregiously bad defensive things, and a lot of it was just the drop coverage on Trae. Get better with that, and I think you're fine. Outside of that, that's about it. Like don't do the drop coverage too much, and just hope Randall doesn't shoot 6 for 23 next game. That happens, they're probably going to be more than fine. Not saying that means they win the series, but like you don't have to worry about games like this repeating itself. And even then, it was a close fucking game anyway. So the fact that you were able to have this good of a game with Randall playing as poorly as he did, you should take that as a positive sign. But that being said, still think this is anyone's fucking series. It could go anyway, so I don't know. But yeah, that was those two games. There's a fucking hair attached to my boot. I don't know if you could see that the whole time, but there you go. Yeah, that is about it for this game and for those two games. Tomorrow we have Heat versus Bucks and Blazers versus Nuggets. I'll probably put those into 2 videos, but maybe not. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, look forward to that. Again, go check out that Knicks-Hawks preview, which isn't even really a preview because Game 1 just happened, but please go watch that video. And yeah, that is it. Goodbye.